talked a lot about obviously wanting to establish the run game, and part of that is the backs and what they're doing, part of that is the line, and you've had people in and out on the offensive line. How much has that hindered the work you're trying to get done this preseason?
It's definitely a challenge that you have to overcome, because not just at offensive line, at running back too, and we know running back is a violent position. They take a lot of hits, and but I'm pleased with the steps that we're taking, and I'm hoping that we're getting a lot of guys back this week. So over the next week and a half, as we prime up for game time, we should have some more continuity. But what I have seen is improvements in terms of identification, communication, and targeting, right, which is a big part, especially with the offensive line. And then obviously bodies are going to play a piece in that, but that's the biggest part. Is if you got all the guys going in the same direction and you don't turn guys loose. If you don't turn guys loose, then your backs, he's supposed to be a guy that can go get 4 yards, right? And if you can get 4 to 5 yards a pop, then you're going to be balanced and efficient in the run game, and that's what our objective is. So, pleased with that piece of it, and now I'm hopeful that this week we'll start getting some bodies back to where we can still really start honing in on what's going to be the right pieces in the right place.
Boley and Stevens, you feel?
Yeah. So Stevens is back rolling, and we're hoping that sometime this week, before we get ready to really dive into Richmond prep, that we'll get Boley back. So, but Brian's been back practicing. He started back last week and has looked good. Boley's doing some stuff in the underwater treadmill and the Ultra G to try and get his conditioning up, and then he'll be back on the land this week, and then hopeful for next week. But again, you're dealing with a high ankle sprain, and those things are tricky.
How is this push to get those running backs who haven't played a lot in their careers ready for game action? Jack and Dante Hawthorne and even Xavier Brown coming back. How have you guys pushed that?
Yeah, you got to take advantage of the live reps that you have. And one thing about the way that we're structured, we only get a certain amount of full padded practices, and then even in that, only 2 of those are dedicated to full scrimmages. So you have to make every rep count when you have full pads and you're going live. You gotta stress them in all the situations that they could possibly be in, and some of that's going to be growing up, on the job. And X did a great job as a freshman for us, and then obviously was hampered a little bit last year with injury. So he's got some experience. Dante is one that we haven't seen in the game much, and Greasy's gotten a lot of reps over his time just in practice, and hopefully that'll translate to the game. So we do the best we can with the live reps that we have, but also you gotta be mindful too that they only got so many hits in their body, so you don't want to use them all on the practice field.
Well, we ask this because it comes up 30 times a week. When will you name the story?
Yeah, so today was the last day of like true live, good on good. We'll still bump and be more controlled. I'm hopeful, that as we get through this week, in fairness to whoever it is, or at least have a week to prep, as a starter. But we're gonna have some tough conversations with all of our personnel over the next couple of days, and this is a little bit different because of the time that we've had in camps. We've really been able to push these competitions to be able to get a good body of work to make decisions. So I'm hopeful that sometime this week we should be able to settle in on who's going to be the guy, or if it's going to be a combination of both of them. Again, it's been for those guys, they've battled their tail off. They've both done a good job, and now it's on us as coaches to do the right thing, based off of the body of work as we truly evaluate it, and what gives us the best chance to go win football games.
Would you like to play both guys in the
that's to be determined. If that's the way that it shakes out, that's the way that it shakes out. And again, we'll have those conversations and see what's best for the football team. I think you got both guys that are very, very capable. But I'm not going to say yes. I'm not going to say no. Those will be conversations that we'll have the rest of this week to determine, as we get ready to prep and how we need to prep for Richmond.
You guys had your second scrimmage.
Mm-hmm.
The first scrimmage, you said the defense kind of
Yep.
had the upper hand. What
Yep.
did you see in the second scrimmage? Anything new?
It was just a lot more competitive. I thought it was a lot more balanced. I felt like the first scrimmage, defense had the upper hand. They had a lot more energy. But this offense responded in this scrimmage, and then defense had some plays too. But it was a lot more for me as a coach, as the head coach. I wanted to be competitive. I wanted to be balanced. Even though my offense is background, my background is offense. People would think that, hey, you want to go out there and see the offense. No, I don't want to see the offense be the only one that does well, right? I want to see competitive balance, and I saw a lot more of that on Saturday. It was a cleaner scrimmage. Not as many of those first scrimmage issues. Procedurally we were really good. We did have a couple of holding penalties. I thought the ball security was better all the way around, and we improved special teams wise too. And, that was a big piece of it. Getting some more live looks at our four core special teams, and I thought the guys showed improvement from the previous week.
How about that corner battle? What did you see?
Yeah.
Did anyone kind of edge up?
And again, we're going to have more conversation. A guy that just, has been consistent and keeps showing up is 29 in Kempton. And then obviously Dre was down for a day or two last week and out, and obviously getting some follow-up on his wrist. And so that battle is still going on. And truth be told, we're going to need all of them. It's a long season, so I want to see all those guys compete and play at a high level, because we're going to need them all. But I'd say if there's one that probably has caught my attention more than the others would be Kempton.
When Malcolm transferred here, he wanted to work on the corner. He was pretty outspoken about that. He seems more open to doing things. Have you seen a shift in his?
I think, and part of it was I was going to let him have that opportunity to play corner and not make the determination for him. And I think as he went through the season, and then he looks at opportunities to really get on the field and compete and make an impact, and then as he evaluates his skill set, I think he's coming more to the realization that he's a guy that can do both. Right, and not just be one. I think he spent a lot of time at his previous spot just playing that nickel position. He wanted to play corner, and then he got more opportunity at corner, and so now he has both of those bodies of work to really say, okay, who am I, and then what do I need to do to position myself for the next level? And I think just trying to, put himself in one spot or the other is probably not what's best for him long term. Showing that versatility to be both. And I think the other thing is, man, he wants to help this football team win. And so whatever the defense needs is what he wants to do.
Was he frustrated by his role last year? I mean, he's a guy with a lot of confidence. So he kind of came in thinking, I'll be this, and then his role wasn't.
I don't know if he was as frustrated with his role. It's just I know he wanted to play at a higher level, right? And then some of that was probably impacted a little bit by just reps and learning the defense. But now I think he's in a much better place to really be able to take advantage of his skill set. So I think it was more so just the transition and moving back to corner, and the time that it was going to take with reprogramming some of the muscle memory that he may have lost, having not worked it, for the time that he was at his other spot.
What do you made of Dre? Just as got some early playing time last year, just how he's developed. I know he's missing time in the spring and now the fall, but where do you see him at?
First thing is physically, when you look at him, man, he looks the part. I think he was about 170 pounds-ish when he came in. Now he's up over 190 pounds, so physically he looks good. And I think with that growth physically comes more confidence, to be able to get up there in somebody's face when he needs to, and, be more aggressive and assertive as a tackler. Obviously the time off in the spring, he's still knocking, some of the rust off, and so I think he's making progress the way that you would anticipate. But again, the time off, is created a little bit of rust that he's got to knock off, and if he misses a day or two here, that's just delaying the progress just a little bit.
Two more questions.
The defensive tackle spot. You guys have a job open there. Have you seen from him growth last year to this year, and what's your overall evaluation of that open position? You guys
So I tell you, he and Jason have been going at it. They've been battling, day after day, and I've seen both of them, improve. You're starting to see Diata play better with his hands. His pad level is improving. His stamina, has improved. As you watch him, from when we got here to now, he's striving and thriving during practice, as opposed to just trying to survive before. So I have seen that improvement. And then Hammond's really pushing. I think that they got different skill sets. Obviously Diata's the taller, longer, bigger guy. Jason's a little bit shorter and quicker. So they got different skill sets, but they complement each other. And it's been a good battle. I think both of them are pushing each other in the right way. They're pulling for each other, but each one of them wants to be the guy that runs out there first. And also too, what I really challenged Coach Rudd and Downing and Slade is, just as when we play a lot of other teams, you need two starting D-lines to be honest with you. You know, not just one starter. You know, realistically, we need 4 guys inside that can go and can roll, because that's what you're seeing more, you know, in college football now at the D-line spot is man, if they got 8 guys, 10 guys, who cares who the starter is, because you're all going to play significant reps, you're all going to play in critical situations. Roll those guys, and it makes it tough on an offense when you can roll in fresh guys, and then you can roll in different skill sets. So just as a guard gets kind of honed in on trying to figure out the out, and man, here comes Jason, right? And then as soon as that, then here comes Anthony Britton, you know. So you got 3 different guys with 3 different skill sets. They're all fresh, right? When typically on the offensive line, you don't substitute your offensive line as much as you'll substitute your D-line. So for me, I'm kind of going back to my time around Dan Brooks when he had Grady Jarrett, Deshaun Williams, Carlos Watkins, all those guys, and it went till, you know, Friday at the game prep walkthrough to know who was going out there to start. Like it just made it that competitive, but that created the depth, and that's really what we're pushing for. Not just interior with those D tackles, but also out there on the edge too.
Who's backing up Butler?
Yeah. So Butler. With Makai, you know, having surgery, obviously that was a guy that we were counting on. You know, so we've taken TT and made him a swing guy. So he'll play out there on the edge a little bit, and then he'll also you know, play inside and give us some depth when needed. You still got Smiley there, and then Jewett. We're having to bring, you know, Jewett along pretty quickly. You know, kind of wish I had time to kind of put him on the shelf, and because he's gonna be a really good player. He just got to grow and develop, but we might not have that luxury, you know, this year. But you feel good about the big 3, as we would say, and Ben, Chico, and Cam, and then TT gives us some added depth, and then depending upon, you know, how quickly we can get Jewett to come along from that standpoint.